Marketing movies seems awful now? Interesting.
So there's a video that haunts me, and it shouldn't. It's totally harmless. People in the TikTok comments seem to even like it, but it just bothers me. It was uploaded by Disney Studios in June of 2023, and the description promises viewers that they will be snacking around the world with Harrison Ford. Pretzel emoji, globe emoji. What this means in actuality is Harrison Ford eating some very basic cookies and pretzels, all of which you could buy from any American grocery store, and some tea, which he notes is already cold. Ford doesn't look as miserable as you might expect from him. He mostly just takes a bite and says, "Good." And hey, I'm happy he enjoyed them. But as I was sitting there watching this, by all means,
I wonder why this movie flopped. I can't tell. I feel like his heart was really in it.
mildly successful bit of online marketing, I couldn't help but feel a little sad that this is what selling a movie to people looks like now, because so little of it has anything to do with getting people excited about the film itself. So that's what I want to talk about this week. Not what movie trailers are like these days, I feel like there's plenty of videos covering that already, but the contemporary movie studio promotional tour. For the last 10 years or so, I feel like they've just become more and more difficult to do in an engaging and interesting fashion. And in a few ways, they've boxed themselves into these gimmicks that I'm not sure do much to help the movie. But I also want to talk about where I see some hope. Before I do, if you enjoyed this video or others I've made, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe and a click on that bell notification so I can actually reach you again.
I mean, I gotta imagine that it's like there's this era of movie stars. We're getting some new movie stars, but not nearly as many. We're still relying on the same crop of movie stars from pre-social media, and they're just getting older and older, and they don't use social media. And so it's like trying to adapt them to the internet and promotion, and they don't do it. And so it's always going to be a little cringe because they're not natives. And it's not like it's going to be much better when we have a bunch of new social media savvy movie stars like Jake Paul in a film. But at least they won't do stuff like this. Yeah, The Rock. That's why The Rock and Kevin Hart are so valuable to studios, because they can promote it on social media. They don't have to do this kind of thing. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is another example. Ryan Reynolds, Kevin Hart, The Rock. Studios are tripping over themselves to get them because they can go viral on social media without trying to do this.
But now, let's get into it. To get to where all this came from, we have to talk about how we got here. Promoting movies used to be a lot more straightforward. Never cheap, but definitely a lot more predictable. When more people were watching linear TV or listening to the radio, way more people saw or heard movie ads. When more people were watching network TV shows or TV entertainment news, it was, again, much easier to spread the word. Pretty straightforward. But the way things have changed has had big implications for what's expected from movie stars. Read any industry-focused movie news about marketing now, and you're bound to run into plenty of mentions of the star's social media presence. Like how the Mario movie was able to capitalize on the massive combined follower count of Jack Black, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Chris Pratt, despite most things that the biggest stars post being, let's be honest, fairly boring and flavorless. These accounts have just become so central.
I fucking love when The Rock posts about eating pancakes because it makes me feel like I could be as strong as him because I also eat pancakes. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not boring. When he's like, hey, it's my cheat day, and then he eats a pancake. I'm like, dude, I'm having a cheat day right now. I'm eating Sour Patch Kids and... And so like we're the same, and like I can be as strong as you pretty soon. Like it's not over for me.
To how movie studios think about marketing campaigns. And that's a really big change from how movie stardom worked in the past, with even a talk show appearance from someone like Jack Nicholson being kind of a big deal due to its relative rarity. Access to someone like him mostly came through the movies. Now, obviously, he had a strong persona, but I think the fact that most of your exposure to him came purely from the films themselves, and maybe Jack waving to the camera on televised Lakers games, made it easier for people to kind of project whatever they wanted to onto him a bit more. Now, these stars can be in your face all day if you want them to be. A lot like influencers. And that's fine and can be good for promotion, but it significantly cuts down on any mystique that movie stardom once held. And I think that makes things harder for young stars. They've been put on a more level...
Bro, can I say something? Why don't I like this guy? I don't know why I don't have any reason to it. I don't know why I don't like him. It's so funny. I remember there was this thing when Anne Hathaway was more of a big deal. I mean, Anne Hathaway's still a superstar, but like when Anne Hathaway was coming up, women just didn't like her. And it was like this weird thing. And I was like, why? Why are you guys being so weird about it? Why do they like it? Why do they like Anne Hathaway? But like, I don't like this guy. I don't know what it is. He's obviously very handsome, but I don't think that's it. Cause like Brad Pitt is handsome. All these guys have been, all these actors are handsome. Michael B. Jordan is handsome. I have nothing. Why do I not like this guy? It's cause he played the asshole in Top Gun Maverick. You think I'm just projecting his character on him? I don't like him because he wasn't nice to Tom Cruise, okay? He didn't believe in him to fly the plane. I don't know why I don't like him. I'm sure he's fine. In fact, I actually saw him in another movie. I saw him in the movie Hitman because I watch every movie about a hitman. And I thought he was good in it. It didn't blow me away or anything, but I guess this isn't even true, bro. But it just feels like, they're trying to make him happen. I feel like I'm being forced to know who he is. You know what I'm saying? It feels like it's against my will. It feels like it's an industry plant type thing. I don't think that's even true. It just feels like it to me. He's the Squeaks of movies. Yeah, exactly. And Squeaks looks like him. I think him and Squeaks have the same jawline, hairline. They're both very handsome men.
More level playing field with just any other influencer, except they're being asked to open a $150 million movie, not just get clicks. I'm not exactly shedding a tear for the contemporary movie star, but there are unique challenges that I just think didn't used to exist. But let's talk about the actual promotional content as well. As traditional media advertising has become less effective, we've seen, for the past 15 years or so, the BuzzFeedification of movie marketing. Now, I know BuzzFeed is a shadow of what it used to be, but it's hard to overstate how their approach to capital C content generation shaped what the internet has become. Couple that with Jimmy Fallon turning The Tonight Show into a never-ending parade of karaoke and beer pong, and you have the 2014-ish ecosystem that we're still kind of living in the dregs of. Now, to be fair, it's not like the era before it was perfect. Though I have a lot of appreciation for Conan and Craig Ferguson, I think the highly scripted talk show interviews of the 2000s and early 2010s were becoming really dull. I mean, when you compare a random 2011 Jay Leno actor interview with the kind of interviews that were done by...
I mean, what it is now is just fucking Hot Ones. Every actor promoting something has to go on fucking Hot Ones and then eat the wings, and which is now also getting old. I got nothing respect for Hot Ones. They did a cool thing, but like, I can only see the same conceit 14 times. I need something new. Those Wired YouTube videos, those two. I think what they should do is they should dangle the movie stars over a pit of snakes by their legs and then ask them questions as they're slowly lowered into the snakes. And it's called the Snake Pit. What are these stars like? Let's find out this week on the Snake Pit. Celebrity Fear Factor? No, it's not. It's only the snakes. We just do the snake thing every time. And every time they answer a question, they get lower into the snakes. They're never going to get hurt, but they get more scared, you know?
One of my favorite talk show hosts ever, Dick Cavett, who was having conversations with actors, athletes, and public intellectuals in the 70s. I really think a well-produced podcast with A-tier guests, probably a closer comparison than what Jay was doing. So there was a lot of room to change things, and Fallon's children's games and hijinks approach really struck a chord, proving to be ultra shareable online. And that approach has remained very important to movie promotion. Let's go back to the Mario film for a second, because I think that demonstrates what a hit looks like in this form of marketing. Remember when Fallon, The Roots, the cast of the movie, and Shigeru Miyamoto all sang Mario music? That video was huge, and pretty smartly positioned, as it'll reign supreme near the top of searches for Mario music or Mario theme until the end of time. And I think it also tells us a lot about how important nostalgia and familiarity are when it comes to generating that kind of virality. Which is yet another sad reason why established brands will always be preferred by studios to originals. On the flip side of that though, I think those brands being so well established can make the actual press tour interviews about the movie incredibly, brain-numbingly boring. Between the dangers of spoilers, being afraid to piss off fans with an offhanded remark, or show just how much less an actor knows about a movie series that they're in than the fans watching do. And that's not even getting into the potential online culture war backlash stuff that actors often find themselves in thanks to these interviews. You add all of that together, and the movie press tour of 2024 just seems filled with landmines. Which leads us all the way back around to a Disney marketing intern getting sent to CVS to buy Harrison Ford an authentic New York black and white cookie. Because this is the kind of low stakes content that could catch fire and is just a lot less risky to make. No one is going to get mad at the man for saying he enjoys a Berlin wafer. You could ask Ford to reflect in an earnest way on Indiana Jones as a character, and that might be interesting. But any questions about Dial of Destiny specifically, we're probably going to have boring answers, because it's a sales pitch more than a real response. Which I think leads to a lot.
Yeah, also, he could say something like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know the fucking lore. If you ask Harrison Ford about the history of Indiana Jones, he might just tell you, I don't give a shit. Then the interview's bad, and then it hurts the movies.
A lot of the BuzzFeed-like gimmicks that have popped up over the years. Interviews with puppies, lots and lots of twists on eating snacks, and having the stars insult each other. I'm not saying that all of these are bad, but they often feel like ways of getting around not having an interesting way to talk about the movie they're promoting and still get clicks. I should point out though that amidst all the gimmicks and different formats for promoting stuff online, I think some gems really have popped up. There's plenty of podcasts I enjoy. I can't get enough of those GQ videos where actors and directors break down their most iconic movies. That's really a format that really only works for the super well established, so it's not very helpful for promoting young talent, but I love how they get around the draconian rules of big studio press tour talking points by asking people to reflect on movies from 10, 20, 30 years ago instead, where you're a lot more likely to get genuine answers from them, rather than just focusing on what they're promoting now. Then there's Hot Ones, maybe the single biggest success to come out of the endless hunt for new gimmick interviews. It's a little strange that we're at this point where people will endure crying and eating da bomb in front of millions of people to promote a project, but I'm not complaining.
Hot Ones.
I have nothing against puppies running around while actors talk about their movie, but the edge that Hot Ones will always have over most gimmick interview formats is the way it takes the person outside their comfort zone, drops their guard a little bit, and generates way more authentic reactions, which are always paired with Sean Evans' really wide-ranging topics and questions. It just creates this huge contrast between a celebrity talking on the show versus a celebrity giving their 5th interview today with the movie poster in the background. And I think viewers can clearly tell the difference.
Ben Affleck's the GOAT of movie interviews. I love seeing Ben Affleck just let the soul leave his eyes every time. Just look fucking miserable to be there. It's great. I think it's fucking awesome. Totally disassociating, 1,000-yard stare. Just fucking suffering through it.
Movie poster in the background. And I think viewers can clearly tell the difference. It's taking the same mindset that gave us the Harrison Ford cookies video, but actually using it to an interesting end, to make the content of the interview itself actually better. And I really like that. I'd like to see more interview shows figure out kind of ways to do that. Maybe even ones that don't involve poor Will Smith getting hot sauce in his eyes. In the end, it's a little baffling to take a step back and realize how much more bizarre stuff is expected from stars now than in the past on a lot of these press tours. It's not just them giving a magazine interview and then maybe talking to an LA radio host anymore. It's a never-ending race to see who can get them to do the most novel thing. And that's fine, but I think the real issue here is that interesting discussion of the actual movie can't really happen until years after the fact. And I understand why, but I have to wonder if there's a better way to go about doing these press tours that isn't this. That isn't answering the same few questions over and over again and tiptoeing around any spoilers or anything that would cause mild controversy. Like, would stars being brutally honest about what they thought of their movies generate more attention to it? Well, Madam Web kind of says yes, but that didn't help the box office too much.
It didn't work.
If you have any ideas for what you want to see change on these promo tours,
I obviously can't be brutally honest and say the movie sucked. It'll make them more likable, but it won't help the movie. Dakota Johnson basically did, yeah, but the movie didn't do well. It flopped. Like, it helped her. It was good for her personal brand. She doesn't come out of it looking worse because she was honest, but it over the movie.
I definitely like to hear him. I'd also really love if you check out the first issue of my sci-fi and pirates adventure comic, Binary Sea.
Binary Sea, check it out. Yeah, that was a classic YouTube essay. You know, kind of dancing around a problem. It's interesting. No solution. Done. Move on.